Across the universe. Across the universe.
All right, I'm up.
Oh, I'm gonna kick us off today.
Oh, you are.
I am.
Good. She just promoted herself. Look at that again.
Yep. I don't think I can promote myself anymore. I think this is it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. Episode 2. Here we are, Stephen Schmidt and Melissa Goodwin with the A/B Test podcast. We're excited.
I go by Steve.
Oh, you do? Okay. Nice to meet you, Steve.
My
Should we
mother
start
calls me
again?
Steven. Well, you called me Steven, but it's never been
I did
pleasant.
because you're late.
I'm late. Yeah, we're here. You would never know we're late unless we brought it up, would you? Nope, you wouldn't. We're here.
Yes, we're here. All right. So why don't you kick us off? What are we talking about today? Episode 2 of the A/B Test podcast. We had a big test this week. We started the test. We still have some work to do on the test. What are we
Gurus love
talking
to
about?
talk about cold calling. Done it for what? 25 years, 26 years? You tried it once?
I did for 4
couple
years. Yeah.
We're going to delve into that. The
3
deep history
plus.
of cold calling with Melissa Goodwin. It's a great narrative. And I think that if anything, it's given me some PTSD because I accept rejection so badly. But I've gotten it most of my life because I've probably made well over 100,000 of these, for example, that have turned into a lot of good things. And so the funny thing is we don't do it anymore. And so our business doesn't grow using cold calling at all. And I think that just goes to show you there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat. And I forgot to turn my ringer off, and that's extremely rude of me. There is a lot.
I mean, I think part of it, so maybe we can talk a little bit about the history of cold calling, if that's interesting at all, or just it just feels like it's so irrelevant today. Like I get a lot of spam and I just don't answer it. So it'll be interesting to see if it's still a thing.
Well, let's talk about that quick because let's talk about something everybody knows is that, right? They get a call from Miller, South Dakota or Great Plains, Nebraska, right? And you're getting a call from somebody either trying to sell you business financing or car warranty. Believe it or not, it still works enough for those people to pay people to do it. And hundreds of people. And I was down in Medellin, Colombia last year speaking and was down in I was down in Medellin last year and there was probably 300 reps on one floor when they were touring the office and they were all calling
For what?
for US companies who were selling business financing.
Oh, sure.
And I even asked one of them if I could sit in and make a couple calls. It was kind of fun, but they got very serious
You
about
thought
it.
that was fun. You actually sat and asked if you could make a couple of calls.
Well, I was giving a lecture on cold calling down in Medellin. So,
Okay.
it was appropriate. But they're cold call animals, right? Because the US has now offshored cold calling because the expense of it is so great. So when businesses look at it, let's look at it very practically. Let's say, Melissa, you owned a business, which you do, and you had to go find a position that was going to generate revenue. Are you wanting to sink $8,000 a month into a person and take a bet that they're going to be able to make cold calls convert? Are you hire someone with a really well-established network? Are you going to hire somebody who has a lot of experience? Cold calling kind of moves to the back of the list of things that are going to produce revenue right away. And so I think for a lot of companies, they've kind of always done it. They've never known quite why. And nobody's ever measured how much is working and how much is not. So when people say things like automation, they go, well, hey, automation doesn't work. And I go, really? Look at your own life and how much you use automation. Look at when you update your insurance, how you do that on your mobile phone now, and you renew it. You don't have to talk to a person. People want more and more humanless contacts. Fast forward. I'm going to bring you back in time and then I'm going to bring you forward. And I want to get your take on it because there's something you say that's really powerful. And that sales is what? 2 things.
Well, it's not. I learned it from you that
Okay.
it's relationships and numbers, right?
Yeah, it's those 2 things. So if you have less relationships, you need more numbers, right? If you have more numbers, you need less relationships. So if I could sit around and dial 1,000 people a day, well, now I might be successful. There's a lot of software now that can do that. But if you went all the way back into 1970s when the first cold calls were being made, by the way, and CRM systems weren't even out yet, like officially cold calling, this has only been around for 54 years, 55 years. Before cold calling was what?
Dialing for dollars.
Door knocking.
Oh,
Think Schwanzman. Think Girl Scouts.
but they cold called in the 50s. Like they still did that. That was
Sure,
still
but
a thing.
it was coming about in the 50s, but at scale in business was starting to be taught as a practice that
Sure.
every business should do. Pardon me.
Okay.
But when people started buying into it and they
Yeah.
went to the seminars, smoking cigarettes and the Howard Johnsons with my dad teaching the class, right? That was cold calling. Convince people.
Yep.
You got someone, and people answered their phone then, right? If I called and the housewife, let's say it was 1982, sorry, different time.
Mm-hmm.
All women should be leaders because we're in a different time now. And those women were leading the home back then. They should be leading everybody.
Women have been in charge this whole time.
I know.
We're just kind of,
but they were in
saying,
charge of the house.
right.
They're sitting around the house. They answer the phone. And then they taught you how to call it, let's manipulate the wife, right? And so they would teach you this tactic of like, oh, she's home. She's the decision maker, and talk to any car salesman. And they would always teach you these sort of tactics. So now those tactics kind of go out the window. Manipulation is really hard to do with AI. AI is very unbiased, and it does not lie. So I think now, if you had to say, is AI cold calling more effective in 1974 to 2024? Of course it is. I would rather pay 2 cents to an AI calling agent and make 7,000 calls that day than pay someone to sit down and make 100 manually. And I think that's where we're at today, and really what people are talking about, not whether or not it works, how it's going to work if you want it to work for you.
So you said something interesting. So, I mean, if you were cold calling back in the day, it really was about the art of manipulation in some ways.
Well, it was a different
I don't
time.
know if that's an art. Maybe just
a different time, right? So it's
Yeah.
not to say people didn't call the receptionist, right? But the receptionist was also a female. And females were nice. And you had to get through the gatekeeper, Nancy, right? They taught you this. I learned this in 2000. We were still calling receptionists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Secretaries.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that as much anymore. And we don't have necessarily the female category. And so now you're dealing with different, men and women are different and just how they talk and their personalities. And so now it's no longer about getting through the gatekeeper. Everybody's a decision maker. And I think now what we have to realize is everybody is worth my time and giving attention to on the phone because they all play an important part. So if I get a hold of you, you don't have anything to do with that decision at Magnetic. I can still really inform you and ask really good questions to make you want to get Steve to call that person back. I just need to understand the priorities as they affect you in your position. Now, most cold callers would never know that. So I also think we're putting younger cold callers out there when we should be putting more experienced people to have that initial conversation.
Yeah, but cold calling sucks. It's the worst. I'm sorry. Like, I have every cell in my body says that's like the last thing I want to do. And like, this is back in the day. So this is early 2000s. I remember I had the green and white paper, and then we had the green monochrome screen, and we'd put a date in and try to dial somebody. There was sort of like I think there was like an auto dialer where it could just go down the,
Sure.
I'm trying to remember exactly. It's been a long time. Doing a lot of ill-advised things at that time. So I'm trying to recalls might not be working so well.
I think we should do a role play. I think we should break it down.
Yeah, I mean, I just remembered dialing and selling. It just was like one of those things. And I had a funny conversation with someone this morning who was telling me about when she would cold call in her industry. And she said, I just knew if I hit 100 calls, about 30 of them would be wrong numbers.
Yeah.
A number of them, most of them would be voicemail. 90% would be voicemail.
Yep.
And I'd have to get the other 10. If I got 10, that was a win. And so I'd put treats every 5 calls. I'd get a little treat.
I'd be so fat. So fat.
I thought was amazing. Just to kind of incentivize herself.
Like little cigarettes. Like a little
Like a
PB&J cigarette.
Amazing.
A quarter.
Something. She's like, or I'd take a walk around the building. I'd make 5 calls, take a walk around the building, which I thought was really funny because like it's kind of the worst work. Like I can't believe you volunteered to do. I mean, I suppose if you're doing a call, I can see why you'd volunteer to kind of hop in, but tell me why you love it, because every cell in my body says this is the worst.
Yeah.
This is the worst.
I think if you have to look at my, and let's just be real, salespeople are a little bit mentally twisted.
That is
and most
true.
Of them
You
are
have to be a little bit
therapist.
broken, I think.
Or they should be. And
what did you say to me once? You said these are the guys that smoked cigarettes at lunch. These are the
one step removed from
High
prison.
school.
That's who I hang out with. A little bit of blue collar prison, a little bit of white collar, right in the middle. That's how I like my Whoppers. I think we'll keep that. That was pretty good.
What are you talking about?
Hold on. So, backing it up. Okay. We'll back it up. What were we talking about right before that? The prison thing.
Something about like salespeople are broken.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So salespeople.
Not all of them though, but yeah, in general.
Okay. So now you have introverts, you have other people who are in sales. I agree. The need to be validated, right? We're being measured on it. We love it so much. We feel punished when we don't get there, right? We'll let a boss look at us on a Friday sometimes and sit around. I want everybody to sit around till 5 o'clock. I'm going to go get some energy drinks. We're going to pump up some Def Leppard and fucking, hey, we're going to make some fucking cold calls. And you're like, yeah, man, like who the fuck does that? Pardon my French.
I'm not in. Yeah, no.
And I'm
you
like
are.
dumping them on my face, taking my shirt off, 2 headsets on.
I'm like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. And so
not that I smoke anymore.
Why do I do it? Why do I do it?
I still did.
We fake smoke on this show. We're sponsored by fake cigarettes because nobody really wanted to sponsor us with cigarettes. Is you have a personal conversation. You finally get a chance to talk to somebody. And I can't really inject my personality into email as much, right? With content I can, but not at scale like I can to engage these one-to-one little, I call them, content's the big mass. This is the spear. We're going out and getting little. This is the tip of the spear. I got to go get little live conversations.
Okay.
There's no better way to do it. Hey, how are you doing? Oh, it's not a good time. Of course, it's not a good time. It's never a good time. You know, you want to get off the phone so bad. It feels magical when that conversation turns.
It's so crazy because the person I talked to this morning had worked in politics for a while. And I was like, tell me how did you door knock? Because that feels like even worse than
to any
cold
Mormon.
calling.
Talk to any missionary. They're really good at it.
And you know what? The interesting thing that she said to me was, she's like, I was terrified. First time I did it. And I've had people yell at me to the point where I was like scared that I was going to be hurt.
Right.
But she's like, it's also so incredibly invigorating when you start like understanding what people like where their heads are at. What are they thinking about? What are they talking about? And it just reminded me when I used to do the work of design thinking a lot, and we would interview people.
Oh yeah.
And we would talk to we'd ask all these probing questions about, mostly in healthcare, but also in the aging in place, or in education. I guess I did in a lot of different industries. But I loved it because you'd get in these conversations and you'd learn what's in their head, and it helps you understand the problem that you need to solve. Yep. And I always tell people you need to talk to your customers, but why are we all, and this is every industry, terrified to talk to people? It's so especially cold.
Yeah.
It's terrifying until you have, it's you have to break through some sort of weird.
Yep.
I think 90% of us, and this is my non-research number, but 90% of us are terrified to break through the other side of that wall.
Yeah.
And then there's people who are just I don't know.
When you break through that wall though, the feeling is incredible. I've yet to see somebody who breaks through a wall and goes, big deal. It's hard. It's like the push-ups of business. It's the one thing that nobody wants to do because it's so hard. They want to go to the chest flies, everything else. But push-ups are I'm out, man.
Burpees and push-ups.
Yeah, burpees are the worst.
Decidedly the worst.
I obviously don't do any of those things.
Yeah, or planks.
They're all the worst. Yeah,
anything
stay away.
core related.
Stay away.
Get it?
You look like me.
Yeah.
So let's say.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I did not say that either. I'm not supposed to deprecate myself. That's right. Let's talk about cold calls now, because I think what I'd love to do right now is I'm going to surprise Melissa. And this is the tougher thing than a cold call. And this is what people are the worst at. Are you ready?
Good. Yeah.
Is this where I get to turn my phone back on?
What are you doing?
You don't know yet. That's the funny part. You see the anxiety creeping in already?
Yeah.
Okay, especially because it's going to happen live on this show. What people really don't like to do is call people they know and talk to them and say, and check in.
Unless it's my mom.
Exactly. And calling somebody and saying, hey, it's me. I'm actually live on a podcast right now doing a cold call. So I was reaching out just to see if you or anybody you knew needed anything to do with lead generation or content services. Look at the anxiety, but I'm going to do it first.
Good.
I'm going to pick a random person I haven't talked to in a while. Let's pick someone who probably would answer the phone. Let's go here. We're live, folks. So we're going to cold call somebody who's a decision maker at a Fortune 100 company. I know people in big places.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see what happens.
It's a president of the United States. Former president. Okay, he didn't answer.
Yeah.
It must
You
be
might
lunch.
you might have to dial through enough few
Yeah,
folks.
I'm not going to. Okay, we got to try another one here. So let's go. Dave Besant, Senior Vice President, T-Mobile. Doesn't really answer my calls that much. Oh, I just got a text. Usually knows I'm trying to call him about something I'm stirring up here. Okay, and each of us gets to call 3. You're terrified. She doesn't want to be
I'm not.
answered.
Yeah, I don't
Or
know.
until somebody answers. And this is the thing that people struggle with is asking people they already know.
We'll have to do the dialer later. Okay, we do all our own tricks here at Magnetic. We're gonna do some cold calling. I gotta be honest, I have some heart palpitations. Here we go.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I am well. You may have detected I'm in a car.
Okay. Mark, well, this is a cold call, so I think you're probably not I would let you get back to driving because you probably don't want to field a cold call on Bluetooth.
Okay, listen. Tell me the purpose of the call. 5 seconds, go.
We are a
What
lead
are you selling me?
Yeah, we're a lead generation company that's meant to expand
No.
your outreach quickly. Is that something today that yeah. Wow.
5 seconds.
Woo! And he said, done. I wasn't ready for it. That's on me. Woo! I know user gems. Called on the carpet. I give that like a 2 out of 10.
Wireless subscriber you have called is not available.
That was
Please
terrible.
leave a message.
Good, you're next. Next one's Melissa. You ready?
No.
You're up. That's gonna be great. The guy said I got 5 seconds. I haven't had that in a while. And I didn't have it.
He didn't.
What would you have said? 5 seconds.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
Would you have asked a question?
Why did it go to 19? We were already at like 40 something and it switched to 19.
It cleared the other as 247, so it said those numbers are no longer active. So it's actually doing a good job of cleansing the numbers.
Yeah.
So it's not going to reuse them. If they're invalid, it's going to say don't use this again. So that's
Call
cool.
has been forwarded to voicemail.
Software should be doing that, though. I mean, really what I would want this to do if it worked great is I would say I want an AI agent. I want to go ahead and have that AI agent dial out for me and then bridge me into any relevant conversations that last longer than like 30 seconds, right? Back to this. Different idea, though.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to do something fun. She had no idea we're going to do this. She's actually really good at cold calls. We're going to actually do a role play here with just Melissa and I. I'm going to go first, and then Melissa's going to role play me, and you guys are going to let us know who does the better job.
Okay.
Yeah. You're going to get a bonus A/B test this week. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. Calling you.
Uh-huh.
You have to be normal.
Oh, I do. Like a normal person.
Yeah. Not
Like
like
the guy. Okay.
Yeah.
We did this yesterday.
we did. It's going to be better. It's gonna be
Okay.
good. You
Yeah.
ready?
Sure.
Ring, ring, ring.
I'm going to make you dial it. I'm going to make you ring again.
Ring, ring, ring.
Okay. All right. Hello?
Hi, is Melissa Goodman in?
Yeah, this is Melissa. How
Hey.
can I help you?
Melissa, this is Steve Schmidt. We don't know each other. I'm kind of calling out of the blue. And I wanted to call today because I work with a lot of CEOs who are new to the role, just kind of got past the honeymoon phase, and now realize how much work is kind of stacked up in the back office. They're looking to automate some of that. Is that by chance the stage you're at, or am I off basis?
Yeah. Well, we don't have any money. So there's that. I mean, we don't have a
Mhm.
budget for this
Yeah.
automation. There's so many things on my priority list. I'm curious, how'd you get my name and number?
Through automation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's just probably one of the many things I have on my list
Yeah.
right now. Honestly, I'm just trying to discern some of the signal from the noise.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't be a top 3 priority because you have such bigger things on your plate, and I don't need to bother you with a lot of things, but I can definitely probably shift 20 to 30% of the other priorities and get them out of the way by prioritizing this one thing. I've worked with other CEOs in town like Matt Jensen, Vance Thompson, a few people to help automate the back end of their business. That'd be great. But I don't know if those names resonate for you. Have you worked with any of those guys? I'm not sure if that rings a bell.
So what exactly do you do?
Well, we help automate and drive efficiencies to your bottom line. So instead of having to make more money, we're going to drive 30% back to your bottom line to create efficiencies through automations. Are you using any automation today?
Yeah. See, I'm just still new. I don't really know a lot of, I still have to kind of get I'm still getting a baseline of what our company is doing, where we're
Sure.
at. So I think maybe once I know that, maybe I could chat with you again, Steve. I need to better understand what my team needs and where we are with some of these
Yeah.
different processes.
Sure. I want to make an offer to you.
Mm.
I'd love to audit your environment for you. Normally we charge you a bunch of money, but you're juggling knives right now, right? And so if we could help do that and show you at least what the landscape looks like, and then when you do find it to be a priority, you'll have a good roadmap on what you need to do and what that looks like. Would that be something you'd be against?
Gosh, I don't know. You know, I have a meeting here coming up here. I appreciate the call. It gives me something to think about. I'm just not sure if it's high priority for me right now.
Yeah. So that's going to be hard to get through, right? Because you weren't going to let me say yes. And you shouldn't, because nobody would. Why would you meet with me? I'm a complete stranger. My whole goal of that was to get a meeting, but yet now I know that it's on your list, right? I had some dialogue. I'm going to go to LinkedIn and connect with you. I'm going to follow up with an email. You're probably not going to respond to me, but I get 100 of you, and 10 of you eventually raise your hand. And that's,
Sure.
to me, like any prospecting, that doesn't mean like, oh my God, I got somebody who's interested. Like she wants me to send her information.
Mm-hmm.
Send it,
Yeah. That's fun for you.
But you have to keep sending it. The personal outreach. You can't just send a thing and be like, they didn't respond because we were talking to a client the other day. They're like, I don't know. They didn't respond. It's been like 2 weeks. Pick up the phone, email them back. Oh,
You
I do that?
assume that's second nature for so many people though. Like I just don't think people have like you are
they shouldn't be
wired
CEOs
that
to drive
way.
business though, or CROs at least.
Yeah, you're wired that way, and I think that I think there's a lot that people could learn from that follow up.
Yeah, good
It's
and
like-
bad.
yeah.
I think you can also be overly persistent. I think you can, but I've always viewed that as unqualifying people, right?
Sure.
If my pressure's too much, then you weren't going to do it anyways, probably.
You told me something once that I think I thought was really funny at the time, and it's true. You said I just keep asking them until they tell me to fuck off, which
Yeah.
I think is still. I mean, it's
Until then,
one way to do it, and
you're
I
saying
think
I have a chance.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess there's that. We'll have to bleep that out, I suppose. But
Well, maybe not. I think there's something to that. How did I get you? Right? Like I did always shoot my shot, And so I think it's a matter of like, if you want to call the CEO of GE, fucking call the CEO of GE. They're a human being. They have a phone. Their kids text them. Their grandkids text them.
yeah,
The biggest thing that you can do as your mind is remember, nobody cares about you and they're just a person. At the end of the day, we're all dying for human connection. And even if you get 2 seconds of it from another human being, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I've had a lot of good friendships start with a cold call. And I think that at a minimum, you can get in touch with somebody and they become a customer again because of a conversation you had in a way that you made them feel.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I have not, actually, now that I think about it, back in the when I was doing cold calls, I did have a couple of clients that became friends
Yeah.
in a fun way.
Yeah.
Just find mutual interest
Yeah.
or whatever, old cars, chatting it up. It was kind of fun.
When you find that commonality with people, and people say it's trust, they say it's when people like you. I always say it's when the two things meet and you just go, okay, you get me, you see me, right?
Sure.
And when someone feels seen, we talk about it mostly not in business, but 2025, I'm telling you, people are going to say, I want to feel seen in business. And everybody go, feel seen with us. And that's going to be the big thing, right? Because there's so much noise. There's so much AI. People are going to want to be seen. And it is now the battle of to be seen. And so people will be hiding less and try to be available more.
So I have a question for you. I had seen a TED Talk. I think we talked about it a little bit. I think his name is Bill Gross, who says the one of the most critical factors for a startup to succeed is timing.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons cold calling feels so weird to me in this day and age is because it feels random.
Mm.
And I was reminded again in the conversation this morning that like with today's data in our lists, like very little is random. You're not just like dialing down the phone book.
Doesn't do
You've got specific lists that you're dialing
Times
into,
they answer
people
the
that
phone.
likely have a need that you likely could fill. So it's not like something where it's like, oh, I don't know, Barb, I'm going to call her and just, hope something works out.
Yeah.
You've got a pretty segmented and smart prospect list that you're using,
Mhm.
and they have a specific kind of business or a specific kind of business need.
Sure.
Otherwise, you wouldn't bother calling. So it's a very different
Yeah.
prospecting than maybe you would have done in 2005 or
There's
2000.
entire businesses who are out there who are just paid to validate cell phone numbers now.
Yeah.
When you get a text, hey, it's been a while,
Yeah.
still there? Those kind of things, especially men, just being honest with you, like they'll kind of flirt with a man. And if the guy engages, they're like, okay, boom. Is this Barry? Whoever that person is, or the phone call. Hey, this is so-and-so.
Kind of creepy,
Boom,
but
you're
yeah, I
done.
get it.
That's how they're validating. Companies are paying a lot of money to validate your mobile number because your mobile number, your mobile device is everything to them. It has your wallet, is your Alma, your family picture. I mean, everything in your life is now available on that. They want to tap into that.
So text versus cold call.
Don't cold text somebody.
Okay. Ever?
It's the least personal way
Okay.
because they view it as personal. So when you come in cold, you immediately, it's kind of like email 10 years ago, right? How'd you get my email address? Oh, I don't know. Weird.
Yeah.
And so I think I would ask most people, when is the last cold relationship that you've opened up via text in business? Like it just doesn't really happen that way. I think it's really great to communicate. Once someone's opened up their world to you in a buying process, I always say the number one buying sign, kind of like when you're on a date, they give you their cell phone number,
Sure.
right? You now have free access. They're kind of saying we're going to be doing business together. And that's when you really should be forecasting the deal, is when they give you their cell phone number, because nobody's going to give you their phone number and connect with you on LinkedIn unless they're buying. Second buying sign, LinkedIn. They accept your connection. Especially if they haven't done it yet, and they do it right when the contract's out, start ringing the bells, right? And there's a lot of cool things that you can do with that, but I don't want to get too far off track with cold calling. But I do want to ask you how your first 2 weeks have gone as CEO.
Whew. Good. Wild. A lot of stuff. I think the hardest part has been trying to discern the signal from the noise, because there's a lot of things to do, and it's different when you have to. I did say eat what you kill,
Yeah,
which is a little bit violent. So I
I
was like,
like it.
how do you say, like, when you have to eat what you harvest or something like that? Eat
that's
what you
too
plant.
soft. Let's eat what we kill.
So it's a different animal. And there's just so many things to get done, not enough time, not enough resources ever.
Yeah.
So it's figuring out what is the most important thing for right now. And it's very noisy, so I can't discern the signal to noise. So
Mm.
that's the hardest part.
Mm.
But it has been fun in ways that I hadn't expected.
Yeah.
And like highly stressful in ways that I hadn't expected. And yeah, definitely exciting ride for sure.
I'll give you an A, not an A plus.
Oh,
Since I am your boss.
why not the plus? You're not my boss, are
I'm your
you?
boss? Yeah, technically. Yeah, someone has to be your boss.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Technically, I might be your boss. But if I was your boss, I'd give you an
He
A.
likes to think that's true.
Yeah, you got a pretty good attitude. I think we
Uh-huh.
have a little work there. No, just kidding. She's done great. I think here's the if you really want to know like the tea leaves on us, I'm just going all day. Like it is like a
okay.
little wind up toy starting at 4:30 a.m. And I go and I'm digging in the software, getting with clients, doing all this stuff. And Melissa does the things that I could never do, which is like get onto the balcony and look at the business, make sure the business health was there, which is a really important part of running a company. And I get so entrenched in the day to day and trying to win for our clients
That's true.
that I forget to lift my head up, and it's like literally it's probably a disorder where, I should look at the bank account. Whoa, what happened? It's like things like that where I love being in the business again because I know you're taking care of, oh my God, the boring things you have to take care of. Taxes, laws, and annual reports, and this stuff. And I'm like, I don't have to do it anymore. And you love doing that work. You hate cold calling. I'm like, cool. If we cold called, I'd be doing it all day. So before Melissa came in, we needed revenue. We were down a bit, right? Lost a big customer. Melissa came in. I think what it's done is allowed us to facilitate growth again and get back on the other side of that. And that feels good to be growing again instead of kind of protecting the base. That's never fun as a business owner when you're playing defense.
Yeah, and I don't, just for the record, I don't love taxes and all the attorney stuff. It's just sort of a need to have. What I do get excited about is when we see, it's sort of like when I worked in innovation, and you'd listen to enough conversations and you start to hear a common thread. And it's sort of
Pull
like
on it.
this little thing that is like a tingle when you hear it again. You're like, I'm onto something, like this is good.
Yeah.
And when we switched, we started working with a different platform provider, and seeing what they could do, seeing the potential, seeing the partnership, seeing the development there, that is exciting.
Yeah.
Seeing the client growth over the last 45 days.
Killer.
It's exciting. And even doing this, right? So this is something we've talked about for a
Yeah.
long time.
Takes a lot of time
And just
and
pulling
money and
the trigger
resources.
and doing it.
Yep.
So those are things I think that I get excited about and that I like to move forward. And
Yeah.
just learning so much from all these different businesses, the
Yeah.
people that we talk to, hearing their
wild.
problems. It's like you get such a great pulse of where business is at today, where the minds of business owners is at.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you one last question to kind of close
Yeah.
out some of our cold calling discussion. So I do think there is a time and place for it. When do you think a business should, at the beginning you talked about cold calling
Mhm.
as a maybe back of the line thing, because there's too many variables. You
Yep.
got new SDRs, high turnover, it's really
Mhm.
expensive. A lot of people don't pick up.
Mhm.
It can be really risky and really expensive
Yep.
versus, oh, this person has a lot of relationships. Should
Yep.
we hire them? I've seen that go
Mm.
wrong so many times.
Yeah.
When do you put cold
Uh-huh.
calling at the front of the list versus all the other options for growing revenue?
You do it all the time, and you do it with AI, because AI is going to be able to now very intelligently pair me with the people who are most like this. And here's the exercise I would give to everybody. So if you have an existing customer list, go ahead and DM us for a prompt. We'll give you a lookalike prompt that works pretty well. Take your top 10 customers and say, find another X amount just like these. I like the number 100.
Okay.
Depends on your total addressable market. And if you want to get really specific, list the titles, the names of the people, talk about their personalities. I did that for us because we deal in content. And we have a particular gentleman who's very lively in finance, looking for a man in finance. Wasn't that a thing on TikTok? Blue eyes.
I'm not on TikTok.
I don't know. Blue
Sorry.
eyes, finance.
TikTok
Anyways,
fans.
yeah. And they look like him. They all look like him. And so like the list that it brings out, that's who you should cold call, because those people are going to be the most
That makes sense.
highest
Yeah,
chance to
I
be
can
like your
see
existing
that.
customers, and you're calling them for a reason.
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa, like what I did with you, you're just like a lot of our customers. How do I know? I don't freaking know. AI told me, and AI is way smarter than me.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it was, but I just had to call you because there's something that we do that the universe says we're supposed to be connected on. I think it might be this. And you pull on that thread.
The other thing that you did that it brought me back to like 2002, I went through Dale Carnegie and
Oh,
they
yeah.
made us stand up. And this is also highly uncomfortable for me who likes to be prepared for things. Role play.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're in front of it and you got to do it in front of everybody. So like a group of 30, and it was at me at the time I was working in, I think I was the only female on the team. And so it's like, you just feel like the hot, like face gets red and
Oh,
like
it's
heart
like a hot tingle
palpitations.
in the best way. Oh.
Feel like you're sweating. Everybody's watching you. You know,
Yeah.
I just like, I know
Ooh.
I'm going to say something stupid.
So
I'm
good.
going to lock up. And I
Yes.
always did. I
Oh,
always
bring
locked
it.
up. It's the worst.
I love it.
But what it does do, you do it enough times. And like, so if you were to call me again and I'm calling you,
Mhm.
I do that enough times. I start to get a little track in my head that, so for you who's good at improv, you can roll with it. You can pretty much, and you've done it long enough, I think too, Steve, that you
Takes
can
a
kind of
little
roll
time.
with it.
You heard me the other day. I sucked. I was
That's
so
true.
bad.
That was so bad.
So bad.
But so for people like me who need to get
Yeah.
something locked in,
Yeah.
role playing it with you, it is important to role play it with somebody who acts like your client. I
Yeah.
think you have to get either a friendly or a colleague who can really well impersonate what they would say.
Mhm.
Do that same thing. So you
Mhm.
feel comfortable enough, like with a little bit of a track, and you can kind of roll.
Mhm.
Then it's not so bad, right?
That's right.
Then you can call those 10 people and be like,
Yeah, it's not gonna make it any easier, I don't think, because it's still the weight of the phone. What do they say in AA? The weight of the phone is incredible when it's time to call somebody.
And it's also just a phone.
Yeah, it's just a phone. It's just a channel.
And they can't come and get you. Well,
and-
maybe they can. I don't know.
If you
No.
get an email and someone tells you to go to hell, you don't get that shock through your body when you're
Sure.
talking to somebody. If they say never call me again, like you take it personal.
Sure.
Not to get too hippy dippy with it, but the voice carries tonality and sensory things that visual doesn't, right? And so when you hear that from
interesting.
somebody, it might bring you back to a childhood where you just didn't like it when someone talked to you like that, right? And so you might want
Okay.
to pick a fight with them on the phone, but like you just walk away.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's some great cold call scenarios out there when people keep people on. And I always say, just hang up. Like it's funny, but you're the one who's hanging on. Like this person's just taking you for a ride. And I've been through some interesting ones.
What's your worst call that you remember that that still haunts you to this day? Do you have any?
Yeah. I was taking
Yesterday?
a shit and I didn't mute and I was cold calling. Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, and they were just like, what in the
No.
fuck? Yeah.
Okay. Are you serious?
Yes. This is like 15 years ago. What's the worst thing? You want me to lie?
Who does?
I did it. I was an animal. You
That
can't
is
waste
the
any time.
worst.
It's probably really hungover. I don't know.
Oh man, that's great. That's a good story.
One time when I was out doing cold calls with my new rep in Ohio, who was a female, I went to the gas station bathroom and they didn't have any toilet paper. And so I had to call her to come bring me toilet paper. That
That is a different kind of cold call. Yeah.
terrible story too. Yeah.
I'm sure I have some. I don't remember that. I don't know. It's been too long, but I'm sure like we'll do some later today or tomorrow and add
Yeah.
it to here so we can A/B test some of our cold calling abilities, and I'm sure I'll have some good stories.
My big question in closing is everyone remembers the Jerky Boys, right?
Oh yeah.
Is that still a thing?
I don't know, but it should be. Like cuz now like if you do the auto dialers, it's not your phone number. They don't know who's calling.
Right. And I've heard some what I'm saying is some people will answer and then play something and it's just
Sure.
hilarious, whether it's like groaning or whatever. They just get a roll off it,
Sure.
And or they have a loop where they'll be like, hello,
Yeah.
and they'll like just play this thing and the rep will be like, sir. And it's pretty funny. But
I've done that to people. So
Yeah.
when I've been cold called, sometimes I'll do like really weird voice effects or just be
worse.
bizarre, like meow, and then I don't talk, and I find it really funny.
you meow like a cat.
I like reverse jerky boys, so they're calling me, and then I'm the jerk on the phone.
It's pretty good. All right.
So
well,
don't cold call me.
yeah, we're very different, but I like it. We meet in the middle on this one.
All right. So that's it. That's all I have for this.
No, we have one more thing in closing.
more
You got to
thing.
cold call me and role play. So we got to get your role play in closing. Let's see how good you are in real action.
Ooh, okay.
All right. Your name's Diana.
Why do I have to be Diana?
I always want to role play with you. And you
Okay.
can be Diana. You're selling, what are you selling?
Okay.
You're selling.
Why didn't I sell what we do?
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah, that's
That's good. We should try that.
that would be better.
All right. All right.
Okay, so I'm ringing you. Ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Oh, hey, this is Steve.
Ring.
Hi, this is Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hello?
Hello.
You start over. It's so weird. She can't do it seriously.
All right. Excuse me. Let me get my composure here. Ring, ring, ring.
Oh.
How do phones ring anymore?
Is it-
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, whatever the iPhone thing is.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hi. Who's
Hi.
this?
This is Diana.
Hi, Diana. What's up?
I was wondering if you'd like to buy some lead generation.
Can't do it. She can't do it. She can't make a cold call. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a trauma response. This was great.
Would you like to buy some lead generation?
Yes, I'll take 10 lead generations. There's a reason.
Okay, great. I'll email you tomorrow.
Our
with a
training has
contract.
paid off. This has been great. You're going to get to see more of Melissa's cold calling in this episode.
Follow me for more tips.
I mean, that might be a really good Instagram account. So we should probably think about it. Like Dirty Diana, the cold caller, and just you in like a silhouette, like smoking a cigarette.
yeah.
Be like, hello.
That's perfect.
Okay, cool. Well, this is fun.
All right.
What are we going to cover? Oh, you know what we're going to cover the next episode?
What are we covering?
Door knocking.
No, we're not.
Okay, we're not.
We're not going to do that. I think we need to do something else.
Okay.
We'll have to figure that out.
Let's go think about it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe door knocking. Seems dangerous.
I like danger.
I know you do.
I want to see if I can get me arrested.
In fact, when I first met you, you were in my phone. I put you in as Steve Dangerous.
That's what every prospect puts me into. And then until they see the contract, then it's Steve, my friend. Steve, my friend, Steve.
Perfect. Okay.
Yours just ended up my husband, Steve. So a little different. That's all. Okay, guys.
Still dangerous.
Very dangerous. We live dangerously. We have fun. Thanks. This is a second edition episode of the AV podcast.
Thanks for watching.
I'm loving it.